Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Vadeda Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjano. Jasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjano. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjano. Jasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjano. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Sri Sri Radha Madhava ki, Sri Sri Radha Giridhari ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajika Jaja Shodhara Shishi Mad is Divine Grace Shri A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajika Jaja Shodhara Shishi Mad is Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Grantara srimadbhagavatam ki jai. Samaveda Bhakti ki jai. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. There we go. That's ecstatic. Where are you in the Gita class at night? What chapter? Fourth chapter. Okay. Do you have a phone with you, or you can look on with someone else? Balaram? Is there a book in the closet also? One of those things they used to have in the old days, books, remember those? Yeah, so someone can grab that book and have one verse. Okay, so we're starting a new chapter in our lives today. Chapter 13. Description of the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. Fourth canto. 13th chapter. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Suto Vacha Nishamya Koravino Pavarnitam Dhruvasya Vaikunta Padadirohanam Prarudabhavo Bhagavat Yadhoksaje Prashtum Punastam Vidura Prachakrame Suto Vacha Nishamya Korar Vinopavarnitam Dhruvasya Vaikunta Padadirohanam Prarudabhavo Bhagavat Yadhoksaje Prashtum Punastam Vidura Prachakrame Suto Vacha Nishamya Kosharva Vinopavarnitam Dhruvasya Vaikunta Padadirohanam Prarudabhavo Bhagavat Yadhoksaje Prashtum Punastam Vidura Prachakrame. Sutu Vacha Nishamya Kaushara Vinopavarnitam Durvasya Vaikunta Padadirohanam Prarudabhavo Bhagavadatto Hoksaje Prashtum Punastam Vidura Prachakrame Suto Vacha Nishamya Kaushara Vinopavarnitam Durvasya Vaikunta Padadirohanam Prarudabhavo Bhagavat Hoksaje Prashtum Tam Vidura Prachakrame Suto Vacha Nishamya Kaushara Vinopavarnitam Durvasya Vaikunta Padadirohanam Prarudabhavo Bhagavat Hoksaje Prashtum Punastam Vidura Prachakrame Suto Vacha Keep going. Sutuvaja Nishamya Kosha Vinoparnitam Vasivaikunta Padadiloharam Prudabhavo Bhagavatoksaje Prashtum Punastam Vidura Prachatakrame. That's everyone? Sutuvaja Nishamya Koshara Vinopavarnitam Durvasya Vaikunta Padadirohanam Prudavavo Bhagavatoksaje. Anyone else? Okay, synonyms. Sutta Uvacha. Sutta Goswami said. Nishamya, after hearing. Kosha Ravina, by the sage Maitreya. Upavarnitam, described. Dhruvasya, of Maharaj Dhruva. Vaikuntapada, to the abode of Vishnu. Adirohanam, ascent. Prarudha, increased. Bhavaha, devotional emotion. Bhagavati, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Adhoksaje, who is beyond the reach of direct perception. Prastum, to inquire. Puna, again. Tam, unto Maitreya. Viduraha, Vidura. Prachakrame, attempted. Translation. And purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sutta Goswami, continuing to speak to all the rishis, headed by Shonaka, said, after hearing Maitreya Rishi describe Dhruva Maharaj's ascent to Lord Vishnu's abode, Vidura became very much enlightened in devotional emotion, and he inquired from Maitreya as follows. Purport. As evidenced in the topics between Vidura and Maitreya, the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the devotees are so fascinating that neither the devotee who is describing them nor the devotee who is hearing is at all fatigued by the inquiries and answers. Transcendental subject matter is so nice that no one becomes tired of hearing or speaking. Others who are not devotees may think, how can people devote so much time simply to talks of God? They may think like that. But devotees are never satisfied or satiated in hearing or in speaking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead or about His devotees. The more they hear and talk, the more they become enthusiastic to hear. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is simply the repetition of 3 words. Does anyone know who those 3 words are? Yes, okay. It's written here too in case you were cheating. Okay. Hare Krishna and Rama, but still devotees can go on chanting this Hare Krishna mantra 24 hours a day without feeling fatigued. Om Gyanantimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksulun Minitam Dena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So with your permission and your good wishes, and for those who are my elders, your blessings, I'll try to say something. You can also. Okay. No blessings, huh? I'll have to rain check on that one, huh? Okay, I'll try to say something. So this verse will talk about a few things, but the main word is bhava. This devotional emotion. How it's described how Vidura was very much enlightened or overcome by his devotional emotion just from hearing the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj in his ascent to the Lord's abode. So it filled him with great ecstasy. And it was described earlier, somewhere in here, about how, maybe it was the last class I gave. Was it the last class I gave about whether you're hearing about Krishna or his devotees, it's the same. Because how can you separate Krishna and his devotees? So there's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, and it's interesting. I was just thinking about this morning when I was thinking of this verse. There's 4 verses in the Bhagavad Gita called the Chatur Shloki Gita. And it's considered that these, just, how many verses are in the Gita? Okay, you all get breakfast for that one. There we go. But there's 4 verses out of 700. Now, who's really quick on math? What percentage is 4 verses out of 700? Very small, right? But there's 4 verses, which are considered the nutshell. The whole Bhagavad Gita, the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita is in 4 verses. So it's kind of like the cliff notes of the Gita, right? You know what the cliff notes are? Canada, they call them something like the coal notes or something like that. It's here in one class. What do they call them in Mexico? You know what cliff notes are when you have like a play by Shakespeare, then you got a abridged version. You can study that real quick. Do they have something like that? Huh? De Jose. Okay, so they got Jose. Okay, Senor Jose Cliff. Okay. So you don't have time to read the whole book. We'll just read this one. It's the essence of the book. So these 4 verses in the Bhagavad Gita contain the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. And this is one of them. And it's really pretty much what we're talking about today. This Machtata Madkata Prana Bodhyanta Parasparam Katyantastamam Nicham Tushanti Cha Ramanti Cha. That this is the second of the 4. Krishna says, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service. And they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. This Katayantashtamam nityam tushanti cha ramanti cha. So this is a symptom of a devotee, and sometimes Prabhupada would be asked, how do you know someone's a devotee? And this is the symptom right here. Katayantashtamam nityam tushanti cha ramanti cha. It's someone who's always talking about Krishna. That's what nityam means here. Katayantashtamam nityam. They're always talking about mam. It means Krishna says me, devotional topics, spiritual topics, and Tushanti cha, ramanti cha. Let's see here. Tushanti means being pleased, and ramanti means enjoying. So they're always enjoying great satisfaction and bliss from talking about Krishna. So that's what we're talking about here. As Baba describes in the purport, that Maitreya and Vidura, they're in great transcendental bliss talking about Dhruva Maharaj, in great ecstasy actually, not just so much so that they didn't become fatigued or tired. How is it that Maharaj Parikshit is sitting there for 7 days, just hearing about Krishna, and Sukadeva Goswami is speaking? These are symptoms of very, very exalted devotees, as they don't become tired or fatigued, or disinterested when there's the Krishna Katha. In fact, they become very, very enlivened, become more and more enlivened. There's a story that Radhanath Maharaj tells about one Janmashtami, one of the early Janmastamis in New Vrindavan. And Prabhupada was there, and Prabhupada would like to hear the Krishna book on Janmashtami. So it was in the evening, and all the devotees were packed into the temple. And of course, it was not just the New Vrindavan devotees, but in those days, wherever Prabhupada was, hundreds of devotees would come from other places. So it's packed in. Can you imagine about 300-400 devotees in here? And no air conditioning. No, it's summertime in West Virginia, right? So they're all packed in there. Prabhupada's on the Vyasasana. He's having someone read Krishna book from the beginning, and it's nighttime. So they go through one chapter, Advent of Lord Krishna. And the noise of the thing, Prabhupada's going to say, okay, let's go have prasadam. Prabhupada said, read the next chapter. And the next chapter, that's a long one too. The prayers by all the demigods are offering prayers. And I started noticing some of the devotees are getting really kind of tired, just really tired. And then all of a sudden Prabhupada said, read the next chapter. And Prabhupada's fully and relishing the Krishna book, and then Maharaj started noticing that, there were a bunch of sannyasis there, and you could see their dandas going kind of like this because they're falling asleep. Their dandas are, and Prabhupada said, read another chapter. And it went past midnight, and they were thinking, Prabhupada's going to stop sometime soon. And devotees, and then Prabhupada looked up and saw half the devotees nodding off and this and that. And then Prabhupada said, okay, take prasadam. Like that. So we weren't not on Prabhupada's level. Prabhupada was absolutely relishing hearing the Krishna book, and the devotees were just kind of, to their credit, working very, very hard all day long, but not on the same level. So that's a symptom of a very advanced devotees, is they are always very enthusiastic to hear and chant about Krishna. They can't stop. They just can't stop. And that's a sign of advancement. Not to be imitated, but to be aspired for. Now this word bhava, that's brought up here in the Sanskrit. This has to do with this devotional emotion. Thought I'd read a little bit about that. Get some things read today. Okay, so this is from the Nectar Devotion, which is the law book on devotional service. I'll read two little things I picked out. In chapter 27, because a bhava is a level of devotional service. We start out, with our adau shraddha, having some faith and associating with devotees, engaging in devotional service. Then we have to go through anartha nivritti. What is anartha nivritti? Yeah, what about them? Nivritti. They gotta go. It's like cataracts. If you have cataracts, you can't see properly. The cataract has to be removed, and then you can see. So all that anartha nivritti is just, it's just like if you have some water, muddy water, just let it sit for some time, then it becomes clear, or you strain it, you purify it. That's a better, not let it sit. Then you can see everything very clearly. So anartha nivritti syat. Then you have nishta, which means you become very, very steady. It's not one day yes, one day no, one day or whatever. It's just one becomes very, very steady in one's spiritual life. And then you hit ruchi, you get some taste, and then bhava, ecstasy in devotional service. And after bhava, you get your prema, love of God. So the devotees here are described as being on that experiencing bhava. And it says here, we'll read this and then go back to something else. But there's one paragraph here of the symptoms of one in ecstatic love. It says, the bodily symptoms manifested by a devotee in expressing ecstatic love for Krishna are called anubhava. So that's the symptoms of one in ecstatic love. Practical examples of anubhava are as follows: dancing, rolling on the ground, singing very loudly, stretching the body, crying loudly, yawning, breathing very heavily, neglecting the presence of others, drooling, laughing like a madman or madwoman, wheeling the head, and belching. Now, it's not that if you belch after prasadam, you're on the platform of bhava, but when there is an extraordinary excess of ecstatic love, with all of these bodily symptoms manifested, one feels relieved transcendentally. So, and then the chapter goes on explaining different examples in the Shastra. Now, as far as characteristics of one in ecstatic love, there are 9 different symptoms listed in an earlier chapter. So one can tell if one is actually on that platform. Just like there's symptoms of different things. So how do you know you have a cold? How do you know you're intelligent? Prabhupada once asked this question. How do you know you're intelligent? What did Prabhupada say? You reach inside your pocket. If there's money in there, you're intelligent, right? right? Intelligent people have money. No problem with that. You just reach in what's in your pocket? You get some money. You must be an intelligent person. So your pockets are empty. You're not too smart. Like that. So that's a mundane thing. But so there's symptoms. So this is chapter 18. And these are the 9 symptoms of those who are experiencing this platform of bhava. This is what it means to be more advanced in Krishna consciousness. First one, he is always anxious to utilize his time in the devotional service of the Lord. He does not like to be idle. He wants service always, 24 hours a day, without deviation. He just can't stop being engaged in devotional service. I told this little thing the other day about George Harrison. He came to Prabhupada once. They invited Prabhupada. He came to visit Prabhupada at the manor. And Prabhupada and he were talking, and George brought up the thing that he said, I can't sleep anymore. I just don't want to sleep. I get so many things I have to do. I don't feel like sleeping anymore. And Prabhupada said, oh, I feel like that. I feel like that too. That I have so much preaching to do for Krishna. I just don't want to sleep. I'm just so excited of all the things I have to do. I just don't want to sleep anymore. So that's a symptom of one who's advanced. They just want to use every single second, day and night, in the service of the Lord. 2, he's always reserved and perseverant. 3, always detached from all material attraction. 4, he does not long for any material respect in return for his activities. 5, he's always certain that Krishna will bestow his mercy upon him. 6, he's always very eager to serve the Lord faithfully. 7, he's very much attached to chanting the holy names of the Lord. 8, he's always very eager to describe the transcendental qualities of the Lord. 9, he's very pleased to live in a place where Lord Krishna's pastimes are performed. For example, Mathura, Vrindavan, or Dwarka. So these are actually qualities that are in our heart right now, but they're covered by all those anartas. But these are symptoms, how you can tell someone's very advancing in Krishna consciousness. These things are gradually coming out. How do you know? So, sometimes it's people think it's a great mystery. How do you know someone's a spiritual person? Oh, that person's really spiritual. How do you know someone's really spiritual? Right? How do you know someone's very, very spiritual? I was distributing Perfection of Yogas once, many, many, many years ago, in a parking lot in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I handed it to this one person. He goes, oh, he said, yes, I have a friend who practices yoga. He's very, very, very spiritual, very, very advanced. I said, yeah, tell me about it. And he goes, well, he can sit down and he can meditate on a flame of a candle for like an hour or two. It's very, very spiritual. That's the criteria for a spiritual. You can meditate on a flame of a candle for about an hour or two. I said, give him this book. Buy him this book. You really like it. So people have a different idea of what it means to be spiritual, right? But it's a science, and the texts are there, what it means to be very, very advanced spiritually. There's 2 places in the Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna asks Krishna, can you tell me what it means to be spiritual? How do you know someone's spiritual? It's an important thing. It's an important thing because if we want to get instruction from a spiritual person, we have to make sure we ask questions from the right person. And if we ourselves want to test our own advancement in spiritual life, we need to know what to look for. Is it working? If it's not working, something's wrong. Either I'm wasting my time or I'm not doing it right. Right? It's like some people go to the gym to lose weight or this or that, and then after a year they haven't lost any weight, they don't look any different. So what's going on there? You're going enough, or you're on the right machine. Something's not right. You haven't lost what's wrong? Right? You start asking yourself, what am I doing wrong? So it's just like that. So these are symptoms of an ecstatic love. My goodness, time's running out so fast. It's described here in this particular anyways, I lost my place here. So in this verse about the happiness of Krishna consciousness, that just by sitting and talking, you can be tushanti cha ramanti cha. That's amazing. Because, topics in the material world aren't like that. There's some juice there. The word is gossip, gramyakata. There's some juice there. Otherwise, there wouldn't be everyone talking about stuff, right? There is some juice there about this person, that person, and so on. It's interesting, though. There's another pastime I heard recently. Shruti Kirti told us that in this one class that when they went to Mayapur the first time, this was when there was just the one building. Conch building, is that what it is? What's the... No, the original building, Lotus? Lotus. The Lotus building. And Prabhupada had his quarters, and devotees were filling, whatever rooms were there, they were filling them up. And he was next to Prabhupada's room in the servants' quarters and so on. And there was just a door in between and so on. And a bunch of devotees who he hadn't seen in quite some time, they came to visit him, Janardhan. And they were talking, and Prabhupada could hear them through the room. Now, they were just talking about, hey, have you seen this devotee? Have you seen that devotee? Hear about this one, hear about that one. And Prabhupada rang his bell, and Shruti Kirti came in, and Prabhupada said, why are you gossiping? He said, you should stop gossiping. You should be hearing and chanting about Krishna. And he said, oh, he paid the obeisance and went back. And then that happened another time. And Prabhupada told him, he said, this gossip will destroy your Krishna consciousness. He said, the gossip will destroy your Krishna consciousness. Just talking about mundane topics. And they were just talking about devotees doing this and that. But Prabhupada said, you should be hearing and chanting about Krishna, not just, this devotee, that devotee. So, but there's some juice there, but how long can you talk about it? How long can you talk about mundane things and mundane persons? They're not all attractive. They're not all blissful. After a while, you get tired. You get tired of... And a lot of times in the material world, we're criticizing others. Is that true? Look at the news. It's just like one dog biting another. This politician, that politician, this, that. They're all just criticizing, right? Because the envy is there. But it's amazing. There's topics where you can actually just sit and hear. Well, like Prabhupada says, the Hare Krishna mantra, it's just 3 words, Hare Krishna and Rama. And devotees can sit and chant it 24 hours a day. There's no sound vibration in the... Can you think of any sound vibration? What's your favorite song? Okay, I can put you on the spot. Let's say, think in your mind. Oh, this song I really liked. What? I mean, if I put you in a room, the padded walls, because you could go crazy, and just play that, hour after hour, day after day, what would happen to you? One thing for sure, you'd get sick of that song, right? Just like sometimes you meet people who work in stores and this and that, and they got the same music playing all the time. And they sometimes make a comment, I get pretty sick of this song. I got to listen to it all day long, right? The same music. We hear it for maybe an hour or so, but they hear the same soundtrack all day long, every day. Or like people work at the zoo or SeaWorld, they probably got the same theme music, It's like they get crazy. They quit and go bonkers because you can't handle it. It's mundane sound. So it should intrigue us, like Prabhupada says here, the word fascinating. It's fascinating. You just think about it. It must be a spiritual sound. Prabhupada would bring that up many times when talking to people. It has to be a spiritual sound. Otherwise, how can the devotees just keep chanting? Right? How can they just, unless we're all crazy. We've gone crazy. They're collective insanity or something. And we are just like chanting this one thing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Do you really think that's what's going on here? Somehow or other? We're all collectively crazy and we just chant this one thing? I don't think so. I don't really think so at all. But it's quite amazing. And that's a symptom of one who's very, very advanced in Krishna consciousness. And that's the happiness. That's the great happiness. The happiness in the material world is different. Has a beginning and an end. What is that verse? Antavatupalam tesham tad bhavati alpamedasam. It says the wise people really aren't so happy or take much stock in the material world because the happiness, it has a beginning and it has an end. But there's a type of happiness that has no beginning and no end. Where is that to be found? That should intrigue us. Right? And that's what we're looking for. And one reason the devotees here are so ecstatic is they just heard the whole story of Dhruva Maharaj. What an amazing devotee. And then he went back home, back to Godhead. That's ecstatic, right? It's absolutely ecstatic hearing about such a wonderful devotee, and then he goes back home, back to Godhead. Absolutely blissful. Like that. So,
เมื่อกี้ที่พระอาจารย์พูดถึงเรื่องของการฟังเทศน์ฟังธรรมเนี่ย ก็คือว่าเราฟังเทศน์ฟังธรรมแล้วเราก็จะได้รับความสุข
So It's already 8:30. And I'm just warming up. How are you all doing? Speechless, huh? Hare Krishna. Okay. Nectar Devotion 17. Let's just see what this is. This could be the concluding. Nectar of Devotion. Okay. That's why. Okay, I'll end with this. We'll just read one of these paragraphs. This is actually, I should have read earlier. This is the chapter called Ecstatic Love and the Nectar Devotion. And there's one paragraph here explaining what it is. Okay? What bhava is. It says, by the process of executing regulated devotional service, that's what we're doing every day, one is actually elevated onto the transcendental stage beyond the material modes of nature. So you just stick with it. You know, there's a saying in business that 80%, 80% of the battle is just showing up. Just show up. You know, 80% of the war or the struggle is over if you just show up. Okay, so just stay. You know, just like if you're on a boat, it's a little rocky, don't jump overboard. Just stay on the boat. You'll get there. Like that. So just stay on the boat, and then gradually this happens. At that time, one's heart becomes illuminated like the sun. The sun is far above the planetary systems, and there is no possibility of it being covered by any kind of cloud. Similarly, when a devotee is purified like the sun, from his heart, from his pure heart, there is a diffusion of ecstatic love, which is more glorious than the sunshine. Only at that time is the attachment to Krishna perfect. Spontaneously, the devotee becomes eager to serve the Lord and is in ecstatic love. At this stage, the devotee is on the platform of Uttama Adhikari, perfect devotion. Such a devotee has no agitation for material affections and is interested only in the service of Radha and Krishna. This effective portion of devotional service is called bhava or ecstasy. And then it just goes into many, many different quotes and so on of different devotees experiencing bhava. 17, ecstatic love, nectar devotion. So. Oh no, yeah. Now it's open because it's
okay. This is just one note about. I noticed in this purport, devotees are never satisfied or satiated in hearing the speaking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm going to look this up. Prabhupada probably said satisfied. He in this context, he quite often used satisfied to mean satiated, but there's a difference. There's a big difference there, because you know I'm not satisfied hearing about Krishna. Well, that doesn't make sense. And you're a pretty neophyte devotee, you know. You should at least tolerate, you know. The point is that the advanced devotees, they're never satiated. Satiation means that I can't take one more gluption. Right. You know, it's just impossible. I'm totally satiated. But that never happens with Krishna Katha. You know, in other words, they're always eager to hear more and more and more and more and more. And look like Maharaj Parikshit, you know, he's just sitting here for 7 days. Here, he's not eating, he's not sleeping, and he's not drinking anything. And at one point, I think in the 10th canto, near the 10th canto, you know, I can imagine that's been like maybe 5-6 days already. And he says, because I'm drinking the nectar of your Krishna Katha, I'm not feeling, you know, the hunger pangs and the difficulty that would obviously come in such a state. So that it's not just you're not satiated, but you're so eager to continue hearing that works as like a sustenance for your very life. You know, that's how is what Prabhupada is talking about here. So I'm going to look at this, and if we'll probably take the satisfied out. But because devotees are never satiated in hearing about the Lord, about His speaking, but devotees are never satiated. It comes up again and again. It's Prabhupada's book.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu. Microphone for our listening community out there.
Thank you. Sana? Thank you, Dharmasetu. It's a nice lecture.
Lo siento, no puedo explicar en español.
La próxima vez. Well, you were talking about how, mundane topics and spiritual topics, listening about Krishna Katha. And so sometimes that seems to be quite easy, obviously, if you're constantly in the temple around devotees and, Prabhupada's books everywhere, Krishna's Leelas everywhere. But for those that may live outside of the temple, there's, I guess, this ongoing battle of trying to see Krishna in everything, despite being around people who are not necessarily speaking about Krishna. So what is the exercise that you might say to utilize in order to overcome this battle?
That's a very good question. And actually the advice is the same for whoever you are. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, grihe tako, vani tako. Whoever you are, whether you live in the forest, a renunciate, or a household, or this or that, bolo haribol. So, it's not that, it's true that living in the association of devotees, that atmosphere, the environment, gives us strength, gives us a lot of strength. But whether you're living in the temple, out of the temple, our daily sadhan is what gives us the inner strength that we need to go through the day. So, and it is true, especially for those who aren't able to take advantage of the strength of the temple, the ashram, the association. Our morning sadhana has to be very, very strong, because that's where we're going to get our strength, because it's not going to come from our external world. So that's true. So make whatever arrangements we have to make that are hopefully in the morning, our sadhana, our chanting, we see it as very, very precious, and we're very, very careful to make sure it's good every single day. Whatever it is. It could be 5 minutes, it could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, it could be some puja, it could be chanting, reading, but understanding that it's got to be really good. It's got to be really, really good. Because the material nature is very, very strong for us. Prabhupada said it's strong because we're weak. Because we're neophytes. We're tiny people. We're tiny little jivas, and we can get bowled over at any moment. But Krishna is stronger than Maya. Daivi Gunamayi Mama Maya Durataya Tarantite. Krishna says, you can easily cross beyond this material nature if you take shelter of me. So that's the advice. And for those inside and outside the association of devotees, if their sadhana is weak, they start having problems. Right? We see it over and over again. There's nothing new. And those are very, very strong. Doesn't matter where they are, what they're doing. They always keep fixed. Like Jayananda. You hear stories about Jayananda sleeping on park benches and this and that, but the devotees who travel with him on his incense run, up early in the morning, rounds and Mangalarti, wherever he was, living out of his car. But he just had a very, very strong sadhana. He was always very ecstatic about his spiritual practices, so it didn't really matter. He just right on through. So that's a piece of advice. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Okay. It's a pleasure. De nada. Anything else? You're looking like a scholar still with a stack of books there. Anything else? So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.